stretch of road all to yourself. And a new Subaru SVX. The makings of a happy customer? Yes. Well, probably. Okay, for sure. But only if we did a proper pre-delivery inspection. In this program, we're going to divide the PDI into 3 phases: the pre-road test inspection, the road test itself, and the post-road test inspection. Now, before we start on the PDI, let's talk about security systems and airbags for a minute. All SVXs are equipped with a driver's side airbag. Or, if you want the official terminology, an SRS system. There are some specific precautions in the service manual about working in and around SRS-equipped vehicles. As long as you follow proper service procedure, there's no danger of accidental deployment. If you're working on an SVX equipped with a security system, set the security switch to the inactive position to eliminate the possibility of unwanted alarms. And be ready to silence an alarm either by turning the ignition switch to on or by pressing the button on one of the remote transmitters during a pause between horn blasts. Now, let's begin the first segment of the SVX PDI. The first order of business is to install the clock memory fuse. The main fuse box is under the hood, so this will be your chance to check the hood release. And let's release the fuel door and the rear deck lid too, so we can check them later. The main fuse box is mounted behind the battery. Here is where the fuse is kept during transit. And this is where it goes. By the way, the forced front-wheel drive fuse slot is also in the main box. Leave this slot empty. It's used only for special servicing procedures. So, go ahead and install the clock memory fuse. And since you're in the neighborhood, why not fill up the front windshield washer tank? Stop! While you're there, might as well take off those wiper protectors. Good. And now, since you're in fluid filling mode, let's do the rear washer tank too. On the way, you'll be able to verify that the fuel door release worked and that the rear deck lid released. There's the rear washer tank filler cap. The next order of business is the transit connector. It's important that you disconnect the transit connector because until you do, the check engine light flashes whenever the ignition switch is turned to on. Now, to get to the transit connector, you have to take off the left-hand driver's side trim panel, disconnect the connector, and reinstall the panel. Okay, while you're in there, let's start the interior inspection. But wait, isn't there something you need to do first? Exactly, the PDI checklist. Since there are so many steps in the PDI, it's important to check off items as you go. From the driver's seat, you can check the windshield wipers and washers, front and rear, the chime and the horn, power windows, sunroof, remote mirror adjustments, interior lights, and indicators and illumination on the instrument panel. Turn the ignition switch to on and verify that all of the indicators are illuminated. The airbag indicator should go off after 8 seconds when the SRS system has completed its self-diagnostic check. This is a good time to set the rear defogger and heated mirror switches to on. For now, just check that the switch indicators light. Later we can verify that these devices are actually heating. When you're ready to check the transmission indicator lights, first verify that the shift lock is working. Try moving the shift lever without applying the brakes. Now apply the brakes and try it again. Place the shift lever at R and try to turn the ignition switch to lock. Won't go? That's the way it should be. And now verify that you can turn the switch to lock and remove the key when the shift lever is in park. Good. Now you can check those indicators. Okay, push in the cigarette lighter and we'll come back to it in a minute. While you're verifying the windshield wiper functions, don't forget to check the washer jet aim, and also verify that the intermittent function works properly. When you're done with that, set the winter-summer park switch to the appropriate position. Should be about ready. SVX power window functions are similar to those in other Subarus, but switch operation is a bit different. And yes, that's as far as the rear windows go down. The available sunroof is a little different from units you've seen before. When it opens, it slides up and over rather than into the roof. Okay, you are checking all this off on the PDI sheet, right? Good. Well, let's see where we're going from here. Still sitting in the driver's seat, you're now going to set the clock and check the audio system, verify proper seat and seatbelt operation, check the steering column tilt and telescoping functions, and check all the exterior lights. Setting the clock is straightforward. Press the H button to set the hour, and the M button to set the minutes. The first check at the audio system is the operation of the door. Does it drop smoothly and open all the way without assistance? When you turn on the radio, does the power antenna rise? And when you turn the radio off, does the antenna retract fully? Next, operate all of the tuner controls. Make sure that you can set and retrieve preset stations. Play a tape and or a CD depending on how the unit is equipped, and try all the related controls. For the passenger seat, check all seat controls for proper function, including the walk-in lever, fore and aft sliding lever, seat back recliner, and the folding function. An 8-way powered driver's seat is available on the SVX. To check out this seat, make sure all the functions operate as they should. Note that the seat bottom and seat back reclining switches must be operated one at a time. Also, check the lumbar support adjustment. And now that you're really comfortable, you can start your seat belt checks. Check the passive belts on both sides and all of the seat belts. Don't forget to check these items off the PDI sheet as you go. And now, tilt and telescope. You've got 3 levers to operate here: tilt, pop-up, and telescope. Verify that you can move the steering wheel through the adjustment range, and then lock the column. Now, operate the pop-up lever and confirm that the steering column pops up, then locks back in the originally set position. And finally, verify that you can adjust and lock the telescoping adjustment. A new feature for instrument panel illumination is this dimmer cancel switch. Normally, when you turn on the headlights, the panel illumination dims on the assumption that it's dark outside. Pressing the dimmer cancel button overrides that, so you can have normal panel illumination when you want your headlights on during the day. While you have the headlights on, verify their operation on high and low beam. Then check the turn signals, the fog lamps, and the brake lights. All right, I think it's time you got out of that comfortable seat. At least 5 minutes have gone by since you turned on the heated mirror and rear defogger. Turn them both off now. Check the mirror surface temperature, and also verify that the rear defogger is heating. Now is a good time to check the door locks by trying the key in both doors. And that brings us to the security system. First, verify that there are 2 remote transmitters and that you can lock and unlock the doors with both of them. Now set the security system switch to the active position. Then verify that the system will arm and alarm. Next, check the interior lights, including dome, spot, vanity, ignition switch halo, and door entry lights. When you're done with the interior lights, check the door lock halo lights. Now confirm that all is well in the trunk with the center caps, toolkit, handle, cat's coating remover, and license plate base all accounted for. Also, check that the jack is in place and verify air pressure in the spare tire. Don't forget to check these items off the PDI sheet as you go. And now we're ready for a series of checks under the hood. Confirm that the ignition is off, then connect the air conditioning compressor clutch wire. Now, check the following fluid levels: front differential oil, engine oil, brake fluid, power steering fluid, and engine coolant. Stop! It's better to check engine coolant at the reservoir. After that, confirm the fluid levels in the battery. Verify that the cable clamps are tight and check the battery hold-down clamp. When you are satisfied those things are okay, do a more general inspection to look for leaks, loose clamps, and damage to hoses or wires. Also, check tension on the two belts. For the next several checks, the vehicle needs to be on the lift. Notice the proper jacking points. If you place the lift anywhere else along the rocker panels, you may damage the body. While you're under there, keep an eye out for fluid leaks and check the following items: steering system linkage, rack mounting bolts, boots, and universal joints, exhaust system, suspension, engine, and transmission mounts for bolt tightness, and the oil level in the rear differential. Also, place a plug in each of the two tie-down holes. When you're done with that, it's time to lower the vehicle. There's just one more set of checks to do before the road test. At this point, we need to inspect the directional alloy wheels to make sure they've been installed correctly. That means confirming the left-hand wheels have the letter L stamped on them. Also, check the tire pressure. And confirm lug nut torque. And now, it's time to think about the road test. But first, a few rules. 1. Except when you're specifically testing it, don't play the radio. 2. At all times, obey the speed limits and all other traffic regulations. 3. Without fail, use your safety belts. Now, this is not a rule, it's just an excellent idea. As you do the road test, try to see, hear, and feel things the way the customer would. What's the best way to do that? Become the customer. Pretend you just bought this car and ask yourself if you'd be satisfied. There are several checks you can make before you hit the open road. First, confirm that the transmission is in park and set the parking brake. Then start the engine, and as you do, confirm that the cranking speed sounds normal. As the engine settles into cold, fast idle, confirm that the RPM is in normal range. During this process, keep an eye on the various warning indicators. Now accelerate the engine and confirm that the tachometer responds properly. Next, apply the foot brake and confirm proper free play and pedal reserve. And with the engine still running, check the level of ATF in the transmission. With that confirmed, you're road test ready.